5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, sir. I know this committee has an extremely important oversight responsibility regarding the Department of Energy and its programs, and it's clearly understood that the loan guarantee program has had serious problems regarding some of the loans in its portfolio, including controversial failed projects such as Solyndra. But I think, although it's clear that there's room for improvement in the program, it's important that we give reasonable consideration to Department of Energy loans designed to commercialize innovative technology in the oil and gas industry versus the green industry. The oil and gas industry is well established, sometimes by generations of Americans. They well understand how to navigate the terrain of innovative technologies in energy, and energy technology is certainly not cell phones. So I believe there may be a role, continued role for the government to play. However, we have to balance between the wisdom of that role and the careful protection of the people's treasure. And again, I would point out an example of where an oil and gas industry has certainly demonstrated its capacity to take advantage of a program like this to help our country. The Lake Charles methanol project received its conditional loan guarantee from the Department of Energy last year. Now, I've heard terms like startup and skin in the game, Mr. Chairman. That would seem to indicate, you know, zero investment from the private sector. Well, reality is, for example, Lake Charles methanol project has invested about a decade of research and development and about $40 million of private capital. And LCM will use cutting-edge technology to refine petroleum coke, and that's a waste product of the oil industry, into high-value energy and chemical products such as CO2, hydrogen, methanol, and industrial gases. And all of its products will be sold to major industrial and energy customers under long-term, market-driven commercial agreements. This clean energy manufacturing plant is ready to commence construction and will result in 1,500 direct new jobs. Now, that's an example to me of a wise investment, although, again, we must balance, it's the duty of this body to balance wise investment in things like the commercialization of innovative technology in the energy industry versus the careful protection of the people's treasure. So I'd ask you, Dr. Yonk, would you agree that it's reasonable to conclude that investment in innovative technologies in the oil and gas sector is a more sound investment than sinking money into green energy projects?
Mr. Higgins, so in general, as my earlier comments indicated, I'm skeptical of the ability of any centrally directed program to identify what the most innovative or the most likely to be successful is. Instead, what I suggest and what I think the evidence bears out over time is that entrepreneurs, those acting in the marketplace, responding to the market demands, which it's not a free market, although with a little luck we might get closer to that, will do better to push forward that innovation, both in terms of how we produce energy and how we get a cleaner environment, than simply allowing bets on loan guarantees or loan programs or any of these sorts of subsidies to make those sorts of decisions. And so my belief is that if we actually allow the marketplace to make some of these decisions, we will see investment across a variety of sectors, including oil and gas, and as well as alternative energy areas.
In the example of Lake Charles methanol project, hasn't the private sector already made decisions in the form of hard dollars and a decade of invested research and development?
Certainly seems to have. I don't know a terrible amount about that particular project, but oftentimes the issue here is not that there's no private investment in these things, but that we nudge investment into things because they're following public dollars as opposed to the marketplace speaking and acting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, thank you for your testimony. Mr. Chairman, I thank you. I yield back.